Happy New Year to the staff and my fellow commissioners. This is the regular meeting of January 9th of the Human Relations Commission. We'll begin with our roll call.
Chair Kralik,
I'm present.
Commissioner Lee,
Present.
Commissioner Regier, Commissioner Savage,
Present. I have a request. Sorry. I'd like to request that our election be delayed for 1 month when we have a fuller commission present.
Okay, I understand the request. Do we need to vote on that? Because frankly, I thought we tried to bring all commissioners with an alternate date this month.
That was the alternate date this month, but Commissioner Savage is speaking about next month.
Right, but what we, I think in the leadership, Commissioner Savage, we talked about this, and we had two proposed dates in January, the regular date and a date that was, I think, next week, if I'm not
Right.
right. And the reason for that was, I think Commissioner Stinger said that she could not make it on the 9th, but she could make it on the 16th. Unfortunately,
Oh, your
I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, even though we offered the alternate date of the 16th, it turns out that Commissioner Regier could not make it on the 16th. And then when we discussed it with staff and leadership, the thought process was that no matter when we hold a meeting, there's always going to be somebody that might be late or might not be here. And we did confirm a quorum this time. The one drawback, I think, to holding the election next month is that, that would delay the new group who's going to be the chair and vice chair from moving forward. And my understanding, just from my own soft polling, is that the new chair and vice chair will have 4 votes this evening. And based on that, I would not be in favor of moving it unless there's others that want to talk about that. Anyone else want to give their thoughts?
Well, I just have a thought that it really doesn't, this is the procedure, and it's in January, and this is the scheduled meeting time, and I'm kind of a stickler to and to me, it doesn't matter if whoever's running for chair or vice chair, the votes, it should be.
They have to have 4.
No, I understand that point.
Is that right?
But that should be irrelevant unless
Any
we get
action by the HRC
HRC
needs 4 votes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But I believe for Commissioner Savage, the process would be she would look for a second. And if she had a second, then a vote would be taken if that wanted to be moved or not.
Right, I was not a second.
I
Anybody
hear you.
else
I don't know
here?
if we want to wait for Commissioner Smith to come in.
I would concur with the chair's comments. I think,
We did, I think
yeah,
the goal was
we
to
did our
try to
best
get
effort.
everybody
We
here.
tried.
But
Yeah.
separate from that, I think without, without the meeting
Yeah.
moving to next month, I don't think it would change anything in the outcome.
I mean, for most of 2019, most meetings had at least one person absent. I mean, there were very few meetings where we had all 7 of us.
Yeah, maybe
And
we should
so-
ask Commissioner Savage why she wants to do that.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just think with more bodies here, we would get a more accurate count, and a greater chance of having 4 votes for whomever.
Okay, well, we did attempt, as I said, to have an alternate date for Commissioner Stinger, who was not going to be present. And so, Commissioner Smith, it's just a short short question, but Commissioner Savage has asked that we delay the vote on leadership until February. And what I responded with was that we did come up with an alternate date in January when Commissioner Stinger could be present. But as it turns out, Commissioner Vergier was not present. So we defaulted to the regular date. And then I said that my own soft polling of the new leadership was that there would be 4 votes here. And so consequently, I felt that it probably wasn't a good idea. Did you have any thoughts about changing it to February?
I think we should go to February, given the fact that we're already down 1 commissioner. So having the extra commission, having the other commissioner here, I think would be advantageous on the vote, or would be representative.
Okay, all right, well then, that's a second, so why don't we go ahead and fashion a motion? Commissioner Savage, go ahead.
I move that we delay our vote for a new chair and vice chair 1 month when we have more bodies here until February.
And, right, and so is there any discussion? Commissioner Lee?
I mean, I would just reiterate the points that the chair has already made. I mean, chair, vice chair elections have been scheduled for January. I mean, people have had notice about it. It's theoretical whether we would have more people in February. We could just as easily have the same number, if not fewer, in February. So I'm inclined just to keep with the schedule. So I'm going to be voting no.
Commissioner Regier?
I was just wondering, what is the process if the argument is that we'll have more commissioners in February? What are we going to do if we don't? Are we going to postpone it till March? Because it's still this, you know, I mean, I'm just saying.
Well,
is
that
the
was
rule?
why, yeah, that was why we had the alternate date in January, because we were trying to be, yeah, we were trying to be
Right.
flexible. We offered a second date, but unfortunately, it's, you know, sometimes people just don't
I guess that's,
show up, or,
Well, it sounds like I don't have the votes.
no, it doesn't, we'll have to vote on it. We're having a
Oh.
discussion. I mean, I think you can,
I was going to withdraw my motion, but go ahead if you want to continue.
I mean, I think it's important, Commissioner Stinger, it would be great if we could all be here. Let me ask this question. Is everybody, as of the present moment, thinking that they're going to be here at the next meeting?
I am scheduled to be here for the next meeting, maybe until we're not.
Sorry, what was that last point?
With the baby or not. That's the 13th, right?
I
I mean, I schedule my life around the meetings because
Okay, well, I plan to
I
be
do
here.
too, but my husband, who never takes a vacation, and he's really busy, on that Tuesday said he wants to get away, and it's Valentine's Day. I mean, so
Right,
that's the
yeah,
only,
yeah,
so that's the only,
So you won't be here?
I'm not sure. I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's have a vote on the motion.
Didn't,
We have a,
Savage withdraw?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I withdraw my request.
Okay, good. All right, we'll go ahead and, any other agenda changes, requests, or deletions? Not hearing any, we'll ask for oral communications from members of the public, and not seeing any, we'll move to the business of the meeting. Reviewing and updating the work plan and liaison assignments. Why don't we start with the liaison assignments? Is there any updating that we need to do there?
There was the spots that Vice Chair Shui was filling. So I think it's the empty spots that you see, or if anybody for any reason is not able to keep their original commitments.
Okay, I see one,
I believe it was the age-friendly, and committee and a liaison to Avenidas. Those were my
Okay, and
recollections.
Patty, didn't you want to do the Avenidas, or?
Yeah, I had requested that I just asked if I could,
Okay, so let's propose that, and we can write that in, and then we'll vote on it afterwards. Project, the Palo Alto Mediation Program. Commissioner Smith, you're in. Okay, so
Okay.
that is confirmed.
Thank you.
That was already assigned. Healthy Cities is Valerie, senior and dementia-friendly. That's right that's what I do in ombuds work, so I think I might
Okay.
write myself in on that one.
The
Okay.
meeting is like a week from Thursday during the day.
Okay.
I'm looking on the same sheet you have for liaison buddies.
Oh, the buddies, has that changed? Oh, well,
Yeah,
that-
it says not confirmed, but I've already met with Mayor Fine in I think it was October and November.
Okay, and
So, question on that. In the past, typically the chair and vice chair have been assigned respectively to the mayor and vice mayor, and I wanted to
that's
discuss with my
changed.
colleagues if we wanted to continue that or
Yeah.
revert back to that. I just know that that's what's been done in the past. We don't have to keep doing that, but
Yeah, why
wanted
don't
to
we,
discuss
we
that.
can review the council buddy situation after the election tonight, okay?
okay. So we're going to come back to this item.
Yeah,
We'll come back to this component of the item, not the whole item, right?
that component, yeah. All right, so I'll just ask for a motion on the liaison to the,
Did we need to assign someone to Vice Mayor Du Bois?
no, not on that side, Stephen. We're just gonna,
the first side,
we're
okay.
gonna forego the council buddy portion of this, and we're just gonna look at the liaison.
Okay.
I move that all changes discussed in meeting for liaison, including Avenidas and senior, be approved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that stands approved. And those changes are that an Avenidas Patty will be the liaison. Commissioner Smith is the confirmed co-liaison to Palo Alto Mediation Program. And I have signed on to the Senior and Dementia-Friendly City liaison. Okay, great. All right, work plan review. I think it's just, I originally, when we were talking about doing a work plan review, felt that it was important to do this with the new leadership that's going to come into the commission this year. And that was my goal. And what I might do is just make a proposal that we move forward on this after the election. Would anyone like to change the order?
I move that item 3 be moved up in the schedule before we review the work plan.
Okay, great.
Second.
Why don't we do that, and then, all in favor, by the way? Aye. Patty, are you in favor of that?
I'm just wondering, I am, I'm just wondering why, can you do that during a meeting? Like, we already had agenda
We
changes.
should have done it earlier.
We should have done it earlier, so I'm just wondering about the process, like, it doesn't seem,
Somebody can make a motion to move business in the meeting, but the agenda changes usually happen at the beginning. So it feels
Right.
like, I think agenda changes tend to be additions or subtractions that we know about at the beginning of the meeting. But if somebody wants to bring up.
Yeah, during the meeting, I think it just would flow a lot better if we did it that way. That way, the new leadership can talk through their thought process. So you're in favor? We have 4
Sure,
votes?
yeah. Aye.
Commissioner Savage, 5. Okay, so we're unanimous on that. Why don't we move to the human resource allocation process, site visit signups?
Okay, so I will go over that. So I'll just pretend like no one knows what this is, so we can take in new commissioners and long-term commissioners. So What this is the off year, so not the year in which the decisions are made regarding his rep funding, is that the commissioners go and pay what I call social visits to his rep agencies, and up to 3 people can go to each agency. So the purpose of this is just to learn more about their programs, what they do, hear about new things. The purpose is not to do a review of their programs, to ask in-depth, program questions, or to ask to see documents or those type of things. But, just to find out more about their programs. I'm sure there's some curiosity questions like, what do you sing? What are you planning next? But staff does, in year 2 of the contract, staff does an in-depth contract review based on the quarterly reports that the grantees fill out, along with, any concerns that we have. So this is, like I said, this is kind of like a social call. So there are 15 grantees. Like I said, what we have is a lead commissioner, so that's the one who usually contacts the agency, and Mary and I would provide the contact information for the agency, and up to 2 more people can go. I would say what I would prefer not happen is that if 3 people are interested, 1 person goes one day, 1 person goes the other day, because that's a waste of the resources for the agency. So we can start this around now, or we can just do this via email. We've done both in the past.
And we could send you our interests.
You can send me your interest, or I could start this around now. Are there any questions? Usually I give you the contact for the ED. Often the ED makes the decision if, they put you on to a staff member. If they go along, sometimes they invite you, hey, we're having this special event. Why don't you just come to that? Questions?
When are these meetings going to take place?
This is whenever you'd like them to in the next several months.
Do they depend on you coming along, or
No.
is it, no?
No, it's
So it's just the
it's
commissioners?
it's 1
go?
to 3 of you.
I see. And so this is not part of the 2-year review?
This is not part of, this is you learning more about the agencies. The actual review is done by Mary and myself. Now, obviously, if you go and you're touring around and you see something that's, you find out more about the agency, positive or concerning, when you're reviewing the grants the next time and they come in to ask questions, you can say at that point, hey, when we had a visit, I had a concern of XYZ. Can you tell me a little bit about that? But it's not to come back and say, these were my concerns about the agency. It's like to come back, if we want to do a report back, hey, I had a nice visit, just wanted to let everybody know they're doing this new program, and so forth.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, Commissioner Lee, you had a
Question about the review process. So in the second year, there's an option for the second year, right? And so staff is doing a review to determine whether to
No.
option it, or is that's CDBG, right?
Yes, CDBG actually comes back to this entity. Staff makes the decision. Basically, the contract is,
It's 2
it's a
years.
2-year contract, 1 year with the option to renew. And really, only that would happen if there was gross mismanagement of the contract, which has not happened in my tenure managing this program. So
And so unlike CDBG, that option to renew is with staff.
it's staff only.
But for CDBG, that does come back for
That
us.
comes back to you for your recommendation, which goes to council.
Is that because of a requirement under the CDBG program? I'm wondering why there's a difference there.
I would say yes, that they
Okay.
have a very specific, public involvement process in CDBG.
Gotcha.
And each community chooses an entity or a process in which that happens.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I'll just start this around, or is there a preference online or right now?
I guess my question for you.
Yes.
Is that, what would be easier for you to do? Because if you do that, then
We
But if we
would-
do it online, then Valerie can participate even though she's not here tonight.
do like a Google Doc or
We can do a Google Doc. That's a very good
And
idea.
then
Yeah, because
Valerie,
that would help us to see if other people have
Yeah.
interest, and then we
Yeah.
can just.
We will take care of that.
and then Valerie can participate too.
We are that savvy.
And we can even put another column that says date of visit, so you can see when the commissioners plan to visit.
Certainly. But when you go all to visit, you don't need to include Mary in your organizing emails.
All right, this is
Okay.
exciting. Okay, so we'll move to the staff elections. Let me just say, in background, I felt privileged this past year to be the chair, and I thank you for the confidence and also for your cooperation during the year. I do not anticipate serving as the chair this year, and so I'm excited to see who's new that's going to come on board. And I'm anxious to wish them well. It's a big commitment. I think to do it right, it needs more of a commitment than was originally said to me, which was focused on going to meetings that relate to the agenda. Because there's an awful lot of discussions about things behind the scenes, staff input, and interactions that also take place. So I would say, 6 to 8 hours a week is probably something that if you're going to be doing it, you should do that. And I would say that the vice chair should spend some time as well. I know Commissioner Shu did toward the beginning of his term, and then it got very difficult. Which is maybe part of the reason because he changed jobs and went out. But thank you all for the privilege, and I'm looking forward to the new leadership as it comes along.
Great, thank you. You took step one of what I was about to go over. So for everybody present, I think it's important to read over the process so everybody's on the same page. So I will do so at this time. So the first step was the outgoing chair explains the general rules and responsibilities of the chair, including the monthly commitment necessary to facilitate the meetings. The chair opens the floor up to nominations for the position. Commissioners nominate one commissioner at a time. The person nominated must be present at the meeting. A commissioner may enter their own name in nomination. The person offering the nomination can explain why they have nominated the person or why they would be appropriate for the position. The chair asks the nominated person if they're willing to accept the nomination. Commissioners continue to nominate additional candidates. With each nomination, the chair asks the person nominated if they are willing to accept the nomination. When there are no further nominations from the floor, the chair asks for, or commission offers, a motion to close nominations. The motion is seconded. The commission votes verbally to close the nominations. Staff distributes a single ballot for each commissioner. The names of the nominees are repeated by the staff secretary in order in which they were nominated. Each commissioner writes in the name of the person they wish to vote for and returns the ballot to the staff secretary. Staff counts the ballots and announces the winner and the number, and announces only the winner and the number of votes. The elected chair assumes responsibility for chairing the meeting from that point forward. The new chair thanks the outgoing chair for his or her service or their service. And that is repeated for vice chair. There are separate elections for the position of chair and vice chair. The vice chair does not automatically fall to the person who came second in the balloting for chair. I will turn it back over to Chair Kralik.
So Commissioner Shu is not here as the vice chair, so I guess is your preference to have the new chair lead the vice chair portion of the election and open the floor and do
Then the new chair would handle the
vice chair?
vice chair, yes.
Okay, that sounds great. Oh,
What are the stipulations on majority? Is it a majority of attendance or is it?
It's four.
It's 4. Okay.
Yes, and for anything to pass the HRC, it needs 4 votes. If 4 votes are not received for any reasons after a number of tries tonight, then I would make the suggestion that it be floored to the next time.
That sounds good.
Okay?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for nominations.
Okay. Oh, your mic, did you want to,
Go ahead.
no, did you want
I'm going to be
Oh.
saying.
I just want to nominate Stephen Lee, and I think the reason I watched all the meetings before I became Human Relations Commission. I mean, not all of them, but I've watched quite a few. And I've also, I think he's shown up at all the meetings. He hasn't missed one. And I think that's one. And I think, too, it's just listening to what you were saying earlier at some point, that you thought that everyone should have a chance to become. You had talked to me about being new, and you thought that people should have the opportunity to become chair. And I think Stephen has shown that he's, his track record, he shows up, he hasn't missed a meeting. I think working with him, because I share a lot of the work studies things, and I think that he, not work studies, but projects, and I think that he's very thoughtful, and I've seen that he contrary to what I had heard, I think that he really is a team player, and I think that when Kristen last week was talking about the Riccinato pool and how we did push her, she thanked us for kind of pushing her to do that, and I think that the Riccinato pool to me was an example of Stephen's leadership, but also his ability to let other people think and present their passion. I think he knows the Brown Act. I think he knows Robert's rules. I think he would be very productive in his meetings and be a great chair. I think he knows how to run a meeting. I think even though he has very strong viewpoints, I've watched him tone it down a little bit with me, and we argue, and he listens, and I think he's very active in the community, and the community knows him, and he's very involved, and I think so. That's why I would like to nominate him, mostly
Okay.
because he's thank you.
Great. And so, Stephen, are you willing to take on that responsibility?
Yes, I would be honored to.
Okay, very good. Are there any other nominations for the chair?
I have a nomination. I'd like to nominate Commissioner Coloma Smith. I think he is a true leader. I saw him leading his congregation at his church last week, and I was blown away. There must have been more than 300 people there, and he had the ear of everybody. He is a visionary, and his passion for the people of Palo Alto and his commitment to fairness is unmatched. I was just mesmerized by the leadership of Coloma Smith. I am proud to serve with him on the HRC, and I would even be prouder if he were the chair.
Okay, are you willing and able to do the honors of chair?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Let me say something nice about both of these gentlemen. I think I also went to Pastor Smith's church with my son and saw firsthand what he does in the community, which is wonderful. And he's been a very nice presence here at meetings as well, in terms of guiding us toward productive solutions. Stephen has been on the forefront of several issues, and I think one of the strengths that he has had is his connections with the community and bringing people here to our meetings that have something to say about the issues that we bring up, and having those connections as well. So they're both fine candidates. So are there any other nominations? I'm going to make a motion then to close the nominations. Would anyone like to second? Okay. All in favor of closing the nominations at this time?
All right.
Okay, that does it. Great.
So I will hand out the ballots, because my colleague is otherwise involved.
Okay.
Commissioner Lee? Commissioner Smith?
I have 2 ballots.
You do. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh. No, you have Commissioner Savage's.
okay.
And I just have Commissioner Stinger's.
Yeah.
I only have an Apple Pencil.
Thanks. Nice job. Okay.
So there is not a decision for either candidate. Neither candidate received 4 votes.
Okay, so I guess we will move the election to the next
Or,
Can't we-
regular scheduled meeting. Is that the way it works?
You can do that, or you continue to have conversations to see if anybody would change their vote, but if not, you move it to the next meeting.
You need, yes, and Robert Rules of Order, you can run the election again, then you will have the option to either change the rule of the election or move it to a secondary meeting, or move it to another meeting.
Yeah, I don't anticipate changing my vote. Does anybody here anticipate?
can we give the candidates a chance to speak?
Yeah, 'cause
Oh, yeah, of course, guys, go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just going to speak on my candidacy. I appreciate the nomination, Patty. You know, there are a number of reasons why I think I would be an optimal chair for 2020.
can we just wait till everybody's paying attention or look?
I'm one of the, well, I am the senior most member of the commission who has not served in leadership to date. I'm in the 3rd year of my term. I expect to reapply and hope, and with council's grace, hope to be reappointed. And so, you know, given the fact that I have less time, I think it's sort of my turn, if there are to be turns. I have consistently shown up and done the job. In the 30 or so odd meetings that we've had since I've been appointed, I haven't missed one meeting. I regularly attend 2 to 3 other meetings a week, whether it's meetings with my colleagues, meetings with nonprofits, meetings with residents in our community. So I go out of my way to really put in the time. I really go above and beyond, I think, what's minimally expected of a commissioner. And I would hope that whoever we choose for leadership shares that perspective and has that track record. I've served on a number of the commission's various ad hoc committees. I think I did a tally the other day, and it's something like 10 or 15 different initiatives. And of the major initiatives that the commission has worked on the last year or two, I've been either a leader or one of the folks leading the charge on those issues. So I've been fairly involved with most of the activity of the commission and know it fairly well. I've served on a number of other commissions. This is my 8th commission. I'm also on a VTA, Citizens Advisory Council, so I'm very much familiar with local government, the process. You know, I know how many votes are required to pass any action because I regularly read our municipal code as it relates to the commission. So I'm very familiar with our mandate and with, you know, how things are run. My goal as chair would be to empower the entire commission. You know, I don't think we ever fully agree on any particular issue, but we all come with a very valid experience and valid perspective on all of the issues. and I want to empower the commission to help empower each individual commissioner to pursue their particular passion project or issue. And I think that requires a chair who not only shows up and gets his or her own work done, but can also schedule the meetings such so that every commissioner has an opportunity to bring up their particular issue or project, and that they feel like that their time on the commission is worthwhile. The months go by pretty fast. We only meet 12 times, maybe 13 times, including the retreat. So I want to be very cognizant of that and ensure that, before people's terms end, that they have an opportunity to feel like they made an impact. And my general philosophy is, even if I disagree with someone, I'm going to listen to them and I'm going to work with them. Not everyone shares that philosophy, but I certainly do. I think I've met with every member of the commission at least once or twice, if not more, for coffee. I proactively go out of my way to make myself available. And even if my colleagues are working on an issue that is less of a priority for me, I always put myself out there to help people. And to the extent that folks utilize me as a resource, it's up to that commissioner, but I make myself
Let
available.
me just ask a question, because, it was surprising to me, for a couple of reasons, that you had another person vying for the position, and that was Commissioner Smith, because I thought the last time we had a meeting on the vote, that Commissioner Smith had actually placed your name in nomination, Stephen. Am I wrong about that? No. Okay. So I was just kind of surprised by that. So maybe I'll just ask Commissioner Smith if he has any input on that because one of the things I would say is that I know you've been extremely busy with your parish congregation. I also am busy with 2 young children and a parent who lives far away in Jacksonville, who's had health crises. And so, it's a pretty big challenge to be the chair. And I always thought, that your input at the meetings was wonderful. But I sensed that there was some reluctance really to always commit, given your outside activities. And so I guess, I don't know, I guess I was just a little surprised tonight. Maybe that's something that comes, in the vice chair position, and I'm trying to be a mediator here, in the vice chair position, I think Commissioner Shue was quite busy with his job because they were changing, and he got into the mode of at least relying on my input at these leadership meetings. The leadership meetings are usually followed up with, emails and a lot of interaction with staff over the agenda. I guess as a mediator, I was just wondering, maybe since you've in the past stated a sort of a positive framework around Commissioner Lee, whether you're going to be willing to do maybe the vice chair instead, or I'm trying to be.
I know. I sense the effort to be the bridge, but a couple of critical things. The one thing that I've proven in the city so far is anything that I've dedicated my effort and time to has been transformative for this community. That's why
I don't question your abilities at all.
You gotta let me finish, though. You gotta let me finish the sentence, please.
Okay.
Please, sir. The reality, my current reality is, particularly after what happened at the church and the fact that we had over 40 community leaders convene at the church on Sunday and over 500 people there, it made me realize how integral it is for me to become more deeply engaged with this community. This is not a hobby or a part-time. This is now a passion because it directly impacts my parish, kids, everything. And this is, the reality is this. I provide transformative leadership in the local church, on the boards, that I serve on my denomination, regionally, civil rights organizations. It's not, my track record is extremely clear on what I can provide for this community. It's not, you know, when I put my mind to this effort, I guarantee this commission will do something special.
Okay, well, I was just trying to be my
I know you were.
mediator self there and see if we could come to
Can
get
I,
you both there. Go ahead.
I guess my question is, I'm not doubting your, and I'm not, but I think that I haven't seen you here very often, so I don't know, and I want someone on the Human Relations Commission that is going to show up, that is going to be involved, and I've seen Stephen be involved and follow through with projects. And I guess my point is with you, is my confidence, is that if you have this, why can't you be vice chair? And no, I'm just saying because I can't, we're trying to have a discussion so we can vote, and I think
Here,
that.
this seems to me, it's like it's teetering off into a debate or an
No, it just-
interrogation of someone where the decision to be made is really in the ballots. I mean, if you all want this to continue in this way, I will let you do so, but I'm
Let me
feeling a
finish,
little
though. Let me
uncomfortable.
I'm
I'm
just
sorry
finish.
you're feeling uncomfortable.
but I
don't
think-
feel that
me
uncomfortable because
neither.
we've all said positive things.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great, but I'm
think
just
it's
saying
okay.
is that, how about, I would feel more comfortable voting for you if I saw a track record at the Human Relations and be vice chair, and then you could be chair. Then you could be chair next year when you have shown, shown that you are coming to meetings, that you're participating, responding to emails, I'm just saying is that none of us are doing this just because it's a hobby. This has been my long-term, this is what I've done my whole life. And I think that
So Patty, I think you took an unfair sample of my body of work. The reality is you came on the board in July, right? June? And we took Henry in August. So that was why. But Minka and staff will tell you, long before I was on this board, I've shown up year in and year out and done community designed events.
Yeah, I think,
And I think,
No,
and
no,
I
I
think that,
I'm not-
I think that criticism, although the sample size that you have makes it appear to be valid, if you ask anybody, staff, or any of my other people in the building, they will tell you that before then, I had done the projects that I had signed up to do.
I'm just talking about, I've looked at all before I joined the commission. I looked at all the meetings. I attended I didn't watch them all. I'm just saying is that it's not like I'm just this nobody and I can only judge from what I've seen I'm only talking about the Human Relations Commission. That's who I can't validate your contribution to,
No,
because you have done wonderful things. I can only judge voting for someone or saying somebody is because of what I've seen at the Human Relations Commission meeting.
would it help you, Patty, if, we mentioned one other thing, which is that, Commissioner Smith has throughout my term, which has lasted almost 2 years now, run the Community Conversations group, which has been probably the most, if not the second most productive Human Relations Commission activity that we've had. So there is the time commitment there. I was trying to ask him if we could sort of build the bridge because of his prior recommendation of Stephen, because I thought actually they'd made a great pair. And, you know, I hark back to an issue in which I was the lone vote of the commission, and they both, you know, signed this lovely letter to the folks down in San Jose. And obviously, they've worked well together as a teammate, and that's what I was hoping to do. But what I heard back from, and this is the mediator in me talking, what I heard back from Commissioner Smith is that his mindset has changed because he wants to be the leader and a transformative one. And perhaps I've been the one that has spurred him on to be transformative here at the HRC, but his mindset has changed. And so I was just exploring that, and I was trying to be polite in making sure that he understood that it is a commitment, and I think he echoed back that he does. So with that said, I think we should have a motion
I'd like
to
to
push
say
this
something
election.
before the motion.
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
please.
Just to add on, I think that Pastor Smith has the maturity, the wisdom, and most importantly, the composure to be chair. And the time is right.
Okay, well, those are nice things
Wait,
to say, and we should
can
all
I just
say
ask-
nice things about one another.
I think it's a win-win situation, no matter how we look at it. I think that's what we as a commission needs to pat all of ourselves on the back, that whoever wins, it's a win-win. Because I think either one, and I think,
Okay,
and I guess my
so
question,
would
I
you
don't
be-
I guess my question to Daryl is when you said the time is right, I don't understand that question, that point.
Well, the church is in the news, you know, that was a huge news story, and I think it's going to continue, and it's, you know, it will, you know, the leadership that he has displayed will continue in the community. He's getting noticed more and more, and it's a good thing, and it's the time.
I guess we could just debate. I mean, the reason why I knew about the commission for me was because of all the things. I didn't even know that there was a Human Relations Commission until Stephen was doing it. I mean, and I guess I don't understand this time is right, because it's just the timing. I guess
The main question to ask you, Patty, is are you willing to change your
So,
vote? in
no,
both?
It's not a question to me if I'm ready to.
So I think there is well, first of all, the ballots are secret,
Right,
so we're making assumption of who votes where.
yeah, so.
I think the
I don't know, my
question.
ballot had my name on it,
No,
so-
but no, none of the other, I think the question, can we move this to a vote, please?
Yeah.
What would
I
you
think-
like to move?
I just want to make a point.
I would like
No,
to
right.
move that we have another round of votes, if the chair would allow it, because I think each commissioner has responded, each commissioner has asked
Right.
questions, and I think the period is over, so in order to move the process forward, we can vote, and please vote your conscience,
Yeah,
please.
let me just say
Right,
this,
I just wanna say
I'm not in
I'm really
favor of that, so if there is a second,
I
I'd
just
like
want to
hear it.
defend myself a little bit, because I don't
Okay.
think it was right the way you said, are you ready to change your vote, Patty? We were having a discussion, you didn't say that to Daryl, you didn't say that to the other people, you're assuming that Daryl and I voted one way or the other. That was a conscious decision on your part to say that, and I think it was unfair for you to say that only to me and not to Daryl. You didn't ask Daryl if she was ready to change her viewpoint, or who everybody else.
He did ask me to change my viewpoint,
No,
though.
but you didn't ask Daryl, and we're the two that nominated you two.
well,
He did
I'm
ask me
happy
to be
to, I'm
vice chair.
happy to ask anybody here if they're willing to change their vote. I mean,
But you didn't.
yeah, I think it's,
I think it's, can
it's,
I move,
it's kind of a. at
can
this
I move
point-
to vote?
No, let me just run this a little bit differently. First of all, Patty, I said personally that I didn't want to change my vote. And therefore, I felt that it wasn't worth moving forward. So unless, and I did ask other commissioners, are you willing to change your viewpoint? I asked the candidate himself, one of the candidates, not both, if he was willing to. And I'm trying to get to the bottom of getting 4 people on the same list.
Oh, can you ask Daryl if she's ready to change her vote too? It wasn't fair the way you just put it on me.
Okay, so I listened to what you said, and what you had said is that you were okay no matter how it turned out.
No, I said that it was a win-win situation
What
in
does
some
that
ways.
mean?
Okay, what it means that I think that Stephen has proven himself to do it, and I think that he's come to the meetings, he's shown that he has composure, he's shown to me at other meetings that he's done this, but at the same time, when I was listening to Daryl saying that how Coloma is a wonderful pastor, we're not voting for a minister, we're voting for a leadership at Human Relations Commission.
I got it.
And so I think he did.
And when you did not mean to say that you didn't mind voting for either candidate?
I said that we're all passionate, wonderful, skilled people. We all bring different things.
Right.
Just
And-
like
and just
Daryl
so
was
you
saying.
know-
No, so what I'm saying is that when you said, am I willing to change my vote? You didn't ask the other person that promoted someone else, and that was an unfair situation on your part. And I think we should vote, and I think,
Okay. All right.
I think at this point, I think it's only fair to at least have the docket go one more time. And then we can open a motion to either move it to a later date or whatever. I don't know how our bylaws are written. Some bylaws are written that you can actually change the vote count. Some are legal.
Okay, I am not personally in favor of revoting. Is anybody else want to second that motion?
Can I,
Which
can I,
motion?
can I, can I make
The
a comment?
motion to have a revote.
Can I make a comment?
You have to actually make a motion not to have the revote. Because the vote process continues until you make a motion to stop the vote process.
Okay, then I will make the motion, the counter motion to stop the vote.
And effectively move the vote to February.
Another meeting. Yeah, I don't see that this is going to resolve.
Well, before you make that motion, can I make an observation? Let's assume, I'm not going to use names, but let's assume that the vote this evening was 3-2. Let's just assume that that's the case. Assuming that no one in this room is willing to change their vote, right? And we move this to February.
Well,
And we,
you
during February,
need somebody to change their vote.
yeah, we need, so adding Valerie doesn't change the outcome. We need someone in this room to change their vote. So I'm going to make that observation.
This is the one thing about
And-
voting.
Can you use the microphone?
This is the one thing about voting, and this is why it's anonymous. Sometimes you just have to let the people vote. At the end of the day, us arguing about the vote, we just have to run the process through.
Okay.
Part what I've seen in many different occasions is sometimes running the process leads you to different results. So let's just run the process and let the process take care of itself. If we get to 2 or 3 rounds and we said we want to hold it till the next month, people can go think about it for a month and come back and vote. We don't know what the result is until we vote. This is all speculation.
so can I ask one question? Because when I watched the last election, when you became chair, you said how many people, you didn't say who voted for what, but you said it was 4-3. This time, we had no idea. And
You would announce the number, just not who voted for who. right?
When I relooked at the thing, it says staff counts the vote and announces only the winner and the number of votes. So there was not a winner this time. So I said there was not a winner this time.
Yeah.
But I just want to clarify, so the number of votes is specified in the municipal code, so unless the city council changes that, we as a commission do not have the ability to change it from 4 votes to anything else.
That is correct, since it's in the Muni Code.
And the chair continues to serve until his or her replacement is selected.
That is correct.
Good grief, guys. Okay, I've made a motion. Is there a second to close the election process this evening for chair? Okay, not hearing one, let's do another round, I guess.
Since this was unexpected, I've basically put round 1 is what you just did, and to the left of it, I've put round 2. No candidate received 4 votes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we table the election until the next meeting.
Can we ask if it's closer?
There was no change.
No change.
Which is why I was trying to ask people if they would change, but, okay.
I'll move so you can tap her. too.
Okay, please. Okay, let me just say, these are very nice guys. They're both running. They have very good things about them, which we've dictated. I think even as a combination team, they would be wonderful. But I don't see that there's been any change tonight, so it's possible that with an additional vote next time, if everyone shows up, that we could reach it. It's also possible that we might not do that. So I am willing to continue to serve as the chair until such time.
So I have a couple
we
of
can get
questions,
there.
just on protocol, Mika. So the next one was vice chair, and we don't have a vice chair anyway. So are we going to hold up? We were going to vote on vice chair, but not knowing who the chair is going to be.
I would move just out of propriety.
Well, I was
just-
asking
yeah.
Mika.
The process as it's written here doesn't specifically give any protocol if a chair is not chosen. The process said, the process is then repeated for the position of vice chair as outlined above. The chair outlines the responsibility of the vice chair position.
And so there's separate action, so unless the chair wants to move that we postpone both of them, we could certainly do that, but they are separate items, I believe.
Yeah, I would move that we postpone both of them because I think, one of the things that I would say is if some of our newer members run for office, they've never been in leadership, and if they do not win the chair position, we've said nice things about 2 candidates tonight, and I think that a vice chair position could also be one of the people who runs for chair. And I don't necessarily want to pick the second one first. I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
I would,
Oh, no, I agree with you. If we don't have a chair, it doesn't make a lot of sense to vote a vice chair in.
you have a third on it.
Yeah. Okay, so, go ahead, Penny.
I have another point, is that tonight was supposed to be the election, and only people that are present can be elected. what are we going to do if,
Same rules.
well, but it's changing a little bit because now we've nominated two people. We're supposed to vote on them, but let's say someone nominates Valerie and she's there in this meeting, next meeting. We were supposed to vote on chair, we were supposed to vote on vice chair, and in next meeting,
So we did vote to close nominations, so unless we did a motion to reconsider, we cannot reopen nominations at the next meeting. So we would just continue, we're basically, what, tabling the vote on the chair. So the nominations, I don't believe would be reopened
but
unless we made a motion.
but we
to do
also
so.
said not, when Daryl was saying, let's postpone the election till February, we said no, and that included the vice chair. And we voted on that.
I think we all want to do that, and we can just, to make sure there's no misunderstanding, could someone make a motion to postpone both the election of chair and vice chair to the next meeting?
I move to, again, postpone both the chair and vice chair election.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait, so, sorry,
What-
there
what
needs to be
mo-
a discussion on
But
that.
there has to be discussion because we already voted not to postpone it, the vice chair.
You can bring back up a motion again to
Well, then we-
rerun the vote.
Right.
Or to rerun the vote requires what, a 5-6 vote for a motion to reconsider?
That's my point, is we can't just,
You can reconsider a
well.
motion.
Yeah, but the threshold to reconsider prior action requires a higher threshold. Correct?
What I'm
believe.
saying is, I see it slightly different, and I'm trying to keep track of this all myself, is you made a motion not to move it to February. Then you went forward with the action. You did not come to resolution with the action. So as with other actions that you have taken or other agenda items that you've taken in the past, if you haven't come to resolution, then sometimes what people do is, hey, let's get some more information about it. Let's have staff give a presentation on this, and we'll revisit this at the next meeting. We can't just, it's my understanding that there is not a necessity to say this item is not coming up again because we made the decision to discuss it. You made a decision to discuss it, you discussed it, and you didn't come to resolution. So then this item would come up at a next meeting. Now, to be honest, I do not have the information to say at this point if you need a supermajority to be able to say, do we need to discuss this again? You don't have a chair. So I'm not sure and you might not get a supermajority for this vote, but what are we gonna do? Yeah, then the decision might be that the chair continues to serve until this is redone.
And in your favor on that, let's just talk about the process. The process is to select the chair first before the vice chair. And so we have not selected the chair. So on the Monopoly board, we haven't passed go there. We're not, we're not through the first step of the process.
Yeah, I think common sense has to take over at some point.
Yeah,
And-
it's common sense,
Yeah.
and I think that's,
So just to be clear on Robert's Rule of Orders, the motion to reconsider must be seconded, is debatable if the motion to be reconsidered is debatable, can't be amended, requires a majority vote. So majority vote is what's in the room at the time. So if 3 people here vote to reconsider a motion, we can reconsider the motion to postpone till February.
yeah.
So I move to postpone until February the election of both chair and vice.
You have a second?
Well, you have to do the motion to reconsider, then the postponement. It's a two-step motion.
I'm sorry?
It's a two-step motion, so you have to move to reconsider, and then we debate the question.
Okay, I move to reconsider what I just talked about.
Second.
Okay, open for discussion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Commissioner
All
Lee,
against.
I did not hear your vote.
No.
Thank you.
no.
Okay, so per your.
So we will reconsider the question, and now we have to vote on the motion again to postpone it, which requires a four-person vote.
It's a majority.
Majority for the motion to reconsider, but then we're reconsidering it now, to pass the second motion requires 4 votes.
Stephen, do you actually want to vote for a vice chair when there's no chair? Is that possible, that's what you're thinking?
I think we need to get resolution on this today. I don't think.
So is that a
postponing to
yes?
February.
You want to get a vice chair before we have a chair, is that correct?
I want to continue the discussion on chair.
Well, it's not a discussion, it's a round of votes. Let's run the
Well,
vote again.
every action has discussion. So it's not just a matter of voting, there's discussion that happens on each action.
Okay.
And maybe also.
Chair, can you open the floor for discussion, please?
All right, I'm a little bit confused because I think that we did go through 2 rounds of voting. So none of the votes changed from the first to the second time, according to staff. And so I'll just ask if you know, how it is that we would end voting on the chair if no one would be willing to change their mind. I've explored kind of a bridge that I thought was friendly.
But
And
sometimes you just have to run the process.
right, but we also had some positive feedback on that, and people ran it, and so I think we're at loggerheads at this point, guys. I
I'd
think
like
the
to have
meeting
further
has to
discussion.
end. What would you like to discuss?
Can I just make my comment? So let me caveat my comment by saying that, you know, I have a lot of respect for Commissioner Smith. You know, we've done a lot of great work today, great work during our terms. And so what I'm going to say is nothing personal against you. I'm going to try to state it as neutrally as possible. You know, in 2019, you know, going through the meeting minutes, of the 13 meetings that we had as a commission, which included the retreat, I counted 6 or 7 absences from you. Now, I acknowledge and I thank you for your larger service to our community and to the commission over an extended period of time. But in my opinion, you know, we're talking about leadership of this commission, and for me, a basic prerequisite is showing up for commission meetings. And you know, while I understand that you have a perfectly valid reason, and I probably would have made the same choices that you did, given your circumstances, you know, the facts are the facts. You know, I attended all 13 of those meetings. I've attended numerous outside meetings. I think, you know, I understand that there is, you know, there was this incident that happened in our community, and that you have done tremendous work. I attended the service last Sunday, and I thought that was fantastic. And I see how you have a great ability to mobilize the community. That being said, you know, that's one issue. I mean, it's certainly a large issue. But when we look at the totality of our commission's mandate, the issues that we have on our work plan, the accomplishments that we have done in the last year or two, you know, I do have to point to the fact that not only did I show up and be prepared and ask good questions and participate, but I led or co-led the initiatives on most of the things that we would consider accomplishments. You know, you know, I think that I've mobilized a lot of people in the community to support us on some of those issues. I think I've raised the visibility of the commission. You know, a lot more people know about the work that we are doing, not just the work that I'm doing, but the work that the commission is doing. And I think that's important. I don't think we should be a one-issue body. You know, you know, with regards to maturity and composure, you know, I'm not a perfect person. I'm continually learning, and I have the emotional awareness and am humble enough to acknowledge my faults and have striven to improve when and where I can. But that being said, I think there is a difference between maturity and composure and just folks disagreeing on issues. I think, I have spoken out on particular issues. Not all of my colleagues have agreed with me on those issues, and that's fine. I think I've always spoken with respect and with a lot of thought. And again, not everyone's going to agree with what I said, but I think the way that I engage with the community has always been respectful. And I always make it very clear, when I'm speaking as an individual as opposed to on behalf of the commission, because I have a clear sense of the structure of the commission and the rules, and I know that in order to speak for the commission, it requires an action by this body. And inevitably, that means that a lot of the work that we do in our community is individual work or work that we do with one or two commissioners. And so, I think even though I am the youngest member of the commission, I would rebut the claim that my conduct to date has been less composed or less mature. I think we just have honest disagreements on issues, on policy, on our role in the commission. I'm as a lawyer, I read what the municipal code says about what our mandate is or could be. It's going to vary depending on the membership of the committee, but I see the four corners of what we can do, and I see a lot of potential in this commission. And as chair, I'm going to do everything that I can to empower not only the commission as a body, but each individual commissioner and their particular passion projects. And I've done that by reaching out to everyone. Now, not everyone has to reach back and work with me, but I am at least receptive to do that, and I have done it continuously. When Commissioner Hsu said he was interested in working on senior issues, I went out of my way when I identified opportunities for him to engage with that community by, setting up meetings with myself and some members of the county's senior commission. And so, while I've done a lot of work on the issues that I care about, I'm constantly reaching out my hand to my colleagues and trying to find ways to empower them and to empower the work that they're doing. And I would continue to do so in an even larger context as chair. So I just want to put that on the record.
There were some statements made in there about attendance, and so I do want to give Commissioner Smith the opportunity to respond if he would like to. You don't have to.
Wait, may I just say something are we still talking about chair? I thought that was, that issue was gone. Huh?
We never made a motion to move.
Oh, okay, I must have missed something.
Sometimes leadership is reading the board and understanding where you are. Also understanding how to work with the people in the room and how to get a solution to where you need to go. We are currently at an impasse, and we keep pushing the impasse. Is this something we're going to sign up to be in impasses for the rest of the year? Or are we going to work in a way that we can get to solutions that can meet everybody's needs?
Commissioner Regier, just for a few comments if you have. Okay, Commissioner.
I just want to say, when you say things like that, Gabe, few comments, I didn't hear you say it to anybody else, and once again, I feel just like when you asked me if someone drove me to my meetings, I feel very patronized by your comments towards me, and I think that...
I'm sorry if you took offense, but
No, I
it's
didn't take
8:15, and
but,
we have a 20-minute election.
This is a very important thing that we're doing, and I think that our
We're going in
leadership...
circles.
We're not going in circles.
No one's changing their vote, and it's
You're
just...
not changing your behavior either towards me.
I believe
And
that
think
there's
that-
value in the discussion.
Well, I don't agree with your
I mean-
characterizations, but here's the point. The point is...
Wait, didn't you ask me to speak? Okay.
I asked if you had any comments that you would like to make, because you voted to keep the election open. And so I'm opening the floor to you. Do you have anything to say about why you want to keep it open?
We've already that's not my discussion. Our discussion right now is not keeping it open. That's not a motion.
You
The-
you
that- that was-
voted, you
that was-
voted
am I-
against closing it.
We're not, what are we discussing here? Are we discussing the motion that it lost, or are we discussing?
Yeah, basically, we're,
Right. We're back at chair, that's what we're discussing.
yes, and
Not the motion.
I don't think that we're, if,
We have, let's just get to the chase. I
so-
think that we're not, I am here to talk about the leadership of the chair, not whether or not how I feel, why I didn't vote for the
okay,
motion.
go ahead. What would you like to say?
I would like to say that I feel that our leadership has been lacking. I feel that our leadership, that either one, and I think coming to a conclusion sometimes, as painful as it is an important process. And I think that sometimes people are viewing questions is because some people come prepared to meetings, and I think that there's certain ways that these meetings have been led in the last year that is not given each commissioner 5 minutes to speak with the questions. So some of us have been asking more questions, because I've heard that's part of the criticisms of Stephen, that he asked too many questions. And I think if he hadn't been showing up, he wouldn't have been getting that criticism. If he hadn't been, you know what I'm saying is that let's not blame someone because they come enthusiastically and they have questions. Are we saying that we'd rather have people not show up? And let me finish. I think that we need to think as a leadership, as a group, of sometimes thorns are necessary. Sometimes thorns are necessary. We've tried this getting along business, and I think getting along is also having an agreement that we disagree and how do we move forward, not trying to make everybody feel happy here. And I think that I have, how many people have worked with each individual person and seen what they've done this year? That's what we're voting for. We're voting for what they've done on the Human Relations Commission, not what they've done other places. We are voting for a Human Relations Commission leader and what they have done and what they have shown on the commission. Because, and that's what we are voting for. We're not voting for.
So Pat, I want to change the conversation a little bit. Nobody brought up anybody's tenor or questions in a negative light, or nobody made any criticism of anybody. I want to, before we start veering off and saying because Stephen asked questions, nobody brought that up. I just want you guys to be clear. Nobody in this, but you see, this is the point. This is a simple election. I understand that we have a loggerhead, but I think part of the thing, to your point, is the way we move this forward is we have the vote. And we just have the vote. We could have voted 4 times already.
Let's go ahead and have another vote.
And I think, and I'm
Let's
going to
just do
say
that.
this
We've
one
had
last,
discussion.
I'm going to say this one last time. Please stop attacking my record, because the reality is, and staff will sit here, for the last 5 years before I was a commissioner, I worked with the Human Relations Commission. Before I got appointed by the city, I worked with the commission. When there was no meetings to go to, showing up at meetings, I did it. So please, 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 everybody, stop attacking my record. And because at this point, everybody wants to talk about thorns. I personally sat back. Gabe started by saying I should step down to vice chair. That was the first thing. Then you came at me and said, you've been here 6 months, and then you narrated my whole term. Then this one came at me and said, you should look at what we did in this community. Wait, stop.
What I did,
Stop.
I did not say that.
No, I'm saying this one. Not
No,
you.
but I did
So
not ask you to
the reality,
step down.
so the reality is,
I didn't ask you to do that.
is if we have been throwing barbs at me, but we've been throwing barbs at me for the last 25 minutes for me to step down. And you know what that results me for? That means that this commission needs leadership if we're going to spend a meeting attacking one of us and then acting like the victim after the person's attacked.
Let me respond, because I do want to respond to that. I didn't ask you to step down. What I said
did
to
you
you,
say?
I said last year you nominated Stephen, and I was surprised that you had been nominated. And so I asked, is there a way to build a bridge? I asked that.
You did, but you know,
I
at the
also
end of
said
the-
that
at
a
the end of
couple
the day,
things.
at the end of the day, Gabe,
Yeah.
how does it look that a Human Relations Commission has 3 commissioners make personal, veiled or unveiled
Oh,
comments against another commissioner? And
I didn't do that.
criticism
That
is
was positive.
criticism is critical,
Yeah, I didn't say anything about your
but
attendance
we've
record.
repeated it 6 or 7 times. After,
we need
at
to
what
move on.
point, At what point does that criticism become an attack?
Okay, well, then we need to move on and hold another vote.
Yes, just hold the vote. I think we should just hold the vote.
Okay, I wanted to say that I didn't meet it at all. No, I'm not trying to backstep on this. Gabe, you're not even looking at me.
I mean, look at
Okay. I am saying that it is important for me, and maybe I've been on 6 months, but I've been involved in this community for over 25 years, and I think that looking at the Human Relations Commission, that's what we're voting for, looking at all the past meetings before I was here, and I think for me, attendance, I can't judge how someone's going to be a leader if I haven't seen them here.
And that's a fair comment, but we can't keep saying it every time we run the vote. Like, at a certain point,
Okay.
it becomes redundant. And that's a fair point.
Right.
That's what,
So that's the only, so
Well,
I-
and there's a difference between redundancy and attack. And again, that's why I prefaced my comments before I mentioned attendance. And I want you to know, regardless of how this ends up being, that I'm going to continue to work with you. I'm going to enjoy debating with you. But a statement of facts is different from an attack, and I try to make that very clear.
And moreover, let me just say this. I planned this meeting with staff, and the meeting plan calls for 1 hour from a 7 o'clock meeting. It's now 8:20.
I know. I'm
And
gonna
I
to
have
leave at 9, whatever
childcare
happens.
responsibilities, so I have to leave at 20 minutes to 9. So we take one more vote, but if we take another vote and it's the same vote, guys, I really think we got to be
We have to adjourn the meeting.
adults about this and adjourn the meeting till next time. I mean, I'm sorry.
There was no change.
Okay, so
I'm going to move to table this until February. But
is there a second for
I
that
will
motion?
second that motion emphatically and from the top of a mountain.
Is there a need for discussion?
I just have one comment. My comment is this, even though the vote didn't change, I think the discussion and debate, whether it's on this item or any other item, is important. We as a commission have very limited ability to discuss any issue as a body. And so whether it's this item or something else, I think even if the vote is inconclusive or yes or no, I think there's a lot of value in discussion, and I think in the future we need to allocate more time to discussion, so that we feel like we have more meaningful impact on this community. Because having the presentations are great, but if we don't get around to actually discussing anything and making recommendations or deciding what we're going to do, then it's kind of wasted time. So I'm going to end debate, but I think this debate, and all debates are important, and I want to give folks the ability to do so.
Okay, and let me just say that both of the candidates, I have very positive feelings about. I think they could serve. And so I think in different ways, they bring different skills, and they're both very passionate people about our community. And when we concentrate on the things we do for others, I think we do a better job. And I don't know why the things I say bother Commissioner Regier, but if they do, I apologize, and I'll do better next time. And I'll do my best to offline talk to you about how I can better acknowledge your viewpoints. Okay. So let's move to the last
So we need
item.
to vote on it.
Is the work? Oh, we need to vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I made it, and
Let's have a vote. Any votes in favor?
aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, so we have 4 votes in favor and 1 against. Does that carry it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to vote because the whole idea of reviewing the work plan assignments was to have the new chair and vice chair review those assignments.
Could we provide updates, though, on the progress we're making? Because I don't think that I don't think that's dependent on who's in leadership. I think-
This item is not to update the items, but to review and update the work plan, which is, which is a little bit different.
Okay.
So I just motion that we move that discussion item to the next meeting as well.
I'll give you a second. Is that a motion?
Yeah,
I'll give you a second.
discussion.
I don't know what's planned for February, Mika, but I mean, I'm just wondering if there's anything on the agenda for February that this is gonna really mess things up.
I mean, I have several items that I am hoping to be on February agenda, so certainly things are
We
being
have,
pushed out.
some tentative items and some items that basically are on the agenda. So, and if we add these 2 items, we'd be at 4 before even adding items.
What is the possibility of calling a secondary meeting in January, the last week?
The chair or any 4 members of the commission can call a special meeting.
And we would need a majority, we'd need at least,
Well, I mean, the idea behind the vote was to try to get a meeting in which everybody would come. And we did try an extra day in January.
But that
That's why I
particular-
said the end of the month.
Yeah.
The end of the month.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's be clear, there's one agenda item, and if we can do it early and just get it over with, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I would be in favor. I would second that. Can we make that motion now, or do we need to do that at the end of the meeting?
I would think at the end of the meeting, but
Okay.
I'm not clear as to that protocol.
Okay, let's go to commissioner reports. And I just ask kindly if we can keep it brief, only because the time that we had set out for the business of the meeting ran very long. Commissioner Savage.
Well, we met with the police chief, but I don't know if, I think I'd like to delay that till next month, because there are quite a few items that we discussed.
Okay, Commissioner Lee.
So I've been working with Commissioner Regier on some of our action items, including some follow-up to the presentation that the County Office of Supportive Housing provided. Homelessness is one of our initiatives for this year. It's a big issue in the community and in the region at whole. So Commissioner Regier and I have been exploring what additional information might be of value to the commission. And so hopefully we'll see some additional items on that in February. Regarding on the children initiative, Commissioner Regier and I had spoken with someone from UNICEF to learn more about their initiative, and they are passing that along. That one might be a bit further out.
I was asking the chair if we could ask people to pay attention and not be on their phones when someone's giving a report.
And so, we had a very good conversation.
Just so you're clear, I suffer from ADD, and one of my coping mechanisms is to scroll the phone. So as we talk about inclusive communities, sometimes when you see people scrolling, it's because of things that we don't know. So
Perfect, okay.
just so that everybody understands.
No, that's, thank you.
So we had a very good conversation with them, and we're going to continue to do some background research on that. Let's see, real quick. Commissioner Stinger and myself continue to support the LGBTQ working group. Our idea is to get a new leadership in place for that, so that it hopefully reduces the burden on the commission and on the city. So we continue to work with some of the, we have 3 co-chairs that have stepped up to take leadership over that group. And so we're working with them to support sort of we sort of did this beta launch, and we're going to do a new rollout that includes some of the other communities in North County who are perhaps earlier in the process or at different stages in the process than we are. So we're actively working with that group to move that forward. Childcare, I'm continuing to do outreach to the PTA as recommended by the commission, and I really appreciate that feedback. So I've sent a list of questions that Minka has helped me focus a bit, and so I've sent that out to some of the PTA leadership, and they're either going to be discussing it within their individual site or PTA council meetings, or if their leadership wants to email me individual feedback, they can do that too. So I'm waiting on getting feedback from that, and then I'll be able to revise it's not even recommending, the proposal based on some of the great feedback, in particular Commissioner Smith, I know you made some good feedback about language and tone, and so those will certainly be in there. I'm sure I did a bunch of other stuff, but I'll leave it at that for now.
We're tentatively going to hold our next community conversation in April. We have League of Women Voters already signed on. We have 2 places that could be possible locations. The library, the staff had recommended, but also First United Methodist wants to open their doors to have a bigger conversation. So that's it. I'll have a meeting with them on the 16th of this month, and we'll get topics and stuff based on community response from our last talk.
So I just wanted to update, I got an email today with the names of the mayor, the new mayor and the new vice mayor, and in that email, they outlined that a city ordinance had gone into effect or had been voted on so that in June, stores will be stopped from selling vaping items. And I just wanted to congratulate our commission as a group on this. It's a pretty big win. And I think, our collective recommendation did do something for our children. And so I want to end that report on that. If there's any other reports, please put your light on, and I'll go ahead and acknowledge. All right, staff liaison report.
I do have one question. I was the only one. I don't have anything to report, but I do have a question, and I'm sorry.
It's a long night.
But, no, because I thought when we voted about certain places where we could hold those meetings, and I thought it was supposed to be a non-religious.
They just volunteered it to us.
No, but I thought we as a commission said we wouldn't be able to.
Right, so the commission, they can accept your endorsement of the event or not, and your recommendation was I think your endorsement that 3 out of the 4 could be. So if that's not the way they want to go forward, then they just don't go forward and use the HRC's endorsement.
So this is the third third one, right?
This is a third one.
So the fourth one would have to, if you went with First Presbyterian, the fourth one would have to.
No, it's not First Press.
First
Oh,
First-
Methodist, sorry.
First Methodist.
Yeah,
Same,
so-
same thing.
So it's fine for the third one, either way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically,
That's-
they approached us after, and they have been very proactive community-wise. They run they run a lot of services for the city actually out of that church, like homeless services, kitchen, that. So they were like, we'd like to be part of the discussion. You know, and the reality is this, is we can, if you heard my recommendation, it said the library or there. So there, nothing's set in stone. And the choice is up to us. But I think one of the things that we have to remember is there's different places of engagement. And so how often do we engage our community in religious places? Like, I would love for us, once Congregation Colomet finish building their building, to do something there. Just because a lot of churches and religious institutions do a lot of outreach in the community, and we as a city, where else do we get to meet them and actually have conversation and dialogue and connectivity? Because we do a lot of other activities. So as long as it's not one place with one person, I think it's healthy. But we can do it.
Well, I mean, we shouldn't reopen the discussion, but it's not an issue at this point.
Right, but it will be in the fourth one.
Potentially.
If they continue to choose
Choose to
to
use
use the
HRC.
endorsement,
Yeah,
right?
So it's not yet an issue.
Okay,
No, we will. We'll work with the HRC.
so,
Moving forward to the staff report.
thank you. So I believe the only thing that, there's two updates. One is I heard back for the second time from the clerk's office regarding the filling of the vacant positions, and they are still going to wait for the spring recruitment to fill our positions. The second is on Monday's agenda at council, the living in vehicle, not the living in vehicle, the safe parking program will be coming back to the council again. I looked before I had to leave today and it wasn't posted, so I haven't re-looked. So I will look again tomorrow if that is posted, and then I will send you a link to the agenda and to the staff report. That concludes my report.
Moving to the tentative agenda for the next regular meeting, February 13th.
So staff has two items that have been brought to our attention. One is Community Development Block Grant, CBG, second year allocations, or really recommendations. So Aram from planning will come. The second is,
Do we need to form a ad hoc committee for that? Is that going to be at the commission level?
they haven't asked. I do recall that in the past there has been some meeting, but maybe there was some reason for that. So
Maybe one of the agencies dropped out, I think, and we had to.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Aram is
okay.
really good on process, and she did not indicate any need for any input, but I will check.
And
This is for the, sorry, go ahead. So,
how long will that item take? Because I remember last time that was an extensive piece.
It depends on the discussion in the room.
What's your experience been?
My experience has been, it's gone anywhere from 15 minutes, of which of 10 minutes is just staff giving the report and a 5-minute discussion, to 30 minutes.
and sorry, can you clarify, is this for, this is for the
Mary-
second year option?
Yes, Mary handled that communication with Aram. The specific. Mary, can you recall the specific framing that Aram had for this CDBG agenda item for next month?
She's just going to be going over for the second year of funding.
So is it an action item? Is it going to require our recommendation?
Or is it just a report?
It's an action item.
Yeah.
Okay. I would anticipate that discussion may be lengthy. If it was any other year, perhaps not, but given some of the things in the news, again, I'm not predicting what the outcome will be. It may be the same, but the discussion itself may be more extended. So I think we should plan accordingly.
We will take that into consideration. The second is an agenda item brought to me by the chair, based on a presentation by a representative from the Paralyzed Veterans of America. And he is able to come next month to give a presentation.
Which item does that fall under for the work plan?
That
Homelessness.
homelessness.
Yeah, I'd appreciate a second, because the chairman, vice chair Shu was my second. He's not here now, and now it's sort of like in a purgatory.
Could we discuss it offline between the three of us? Because Commissioner Regier and myself are on the homelessness item. and
That would be
so
great. This is a nice group. They
we should
do a lot
go
of
through
good work.
that
So there was a
process.
miscommunication with this gentleman, in which I emailed him and I asked him if he wanted to come to an upcoming meeting based on the first and the second. And he he contacted me on Tuesday and said, I'm coming tomorrow night. And I went back into all my inbox and my deleted, and he sent something that I never received. So it feels to me that invitation was based on a first and a second, and it feels to me a little disingenuous to now say that gentleman's no longer on, the invitation has been taken back. Now, we can say you have 15 minutes, and we keep to 15 minutes, but I hear your concern, but this item went forward based on the process, and I think we need to respect
So
that.
as a courtesy, I will second it, because the invitation has already been extended. I think in the future, again, this is a new process for us, but I think that the courtesy, when an item falls under a particular work plan item, that even if you have a second, you should ideally discuss it with the people assigned to that item. But as a courtesy, I will second that request.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that.
And-
Then, sorry, Chair, you can continue now with asking for other agenda items.
Other agenda items.
I think we had a tentative item that we had emailed, Commissioner McGear and I had emailed Minka about having Catherine come. Did I forward
You
her
did send that to
confirmation,
me.
or-
I did want to give you some information, though, that, so they did host a meeting in North County. Unfortunately, the meeting they hosted at North County 2 months ago was at the very same time as the HRC meeting.
yeah.
Staff, that includes staff from the city manager's office, myself, the Planning and Community Environment, about 7 city staff did meet with Catherine to hear this presentation, to give feedback on the city's behalf to the update from the county homelessness plan. So it would be that there has been the opportunity for staff, and there has been opportunity for a meeting in North County. So I just want to bring
Yeah,
that to people's attention. This is to give feedback on the update to the county
5-year.
5-year plan to end homelessness.
And-
To give an update on
yeah.
what they've done and what they plan to do different.
Yep.
This is
In
Catherine, and this could be, when they came to city staff, they had a representative from Abode, which is a housing provider, and from Destination Home, which is another large-scale convener of agencies taking the lead on homelessness in the county.
And so what is the goal by bringing her here?
So the county office will be soliciting endorsements or something of that nature from the various city councils.
And that's already taken place between our city staff and being in liaison with, after that meeting, our planning staff is in touch already with the county staff.
But has the council weighed in on it yet?
They
or-
will be bringing
In
the,
March?
staff will be bringing the item to the
in
council.
about March, I believe, right?
This is between the planning director and the county.
My understanding is that the item, it's likely to come to council March, April. That's based on my conversations with Catherine. And so the idea would be, if this is an item on homelessness that council is going to weigh in. One of our mandates as a commission is to advise council on these issues. We had a prior presentation on it. I appreciate staff having the opportunity to weigh in. I would love for the commission to also have an ability to weigh in and put a firmer stamp on it, whether it's, yes, we love it, go for it, or here's some suggested things we would ask you to consider. I mean, obviously, even if we don't like it, it goes through anyways, but it's, in my mind, us continuing the process that we started by inviting her here and us fulfilling our mandate to advise council on these issues, and which I think,
Right, I will leave that decision, that part of the decision up to, I will leave that part of the decision up to the will of the HRC. As far as, I don't believe council is going to have a discussion on this. This is just a recommendation by staff, that staff has reviewed this, and staff is encouraging, bringing the opportunity to the council to endorse, or whatever language, the continuation of a county plan to end homelessness, and so
Can I
it's
just-
not going to be a
okay,
discussion.
Sure, okay, that's fine. Can I just confirm with my colleague, Commissioner McGear, that you have seconded, or that you would second that agenda request?
February?
For February, it's time sensitive.
I second it.
I just want
But-
to, yeah.
Here goes
But-
the question.
I mean, so the process that we laid out as a commission was that if it was on the work plan, if we have two
Okay.
people
So,
supporting it, it would be on the
So
agenda.
no, I
Okay,
know,
sorry,
but
go ahead.
this is team question, so I'm asking a question. Um, It's on our work plan. The staff is working on it. Are they positively disposed to it at this moment?
It's not a positively or negatively exposed. There's a plan in action, and we gave feedback to say, yes, these aspects have gone well. These are needs in the community. These are suggestions for you to consider to the county as you update this plan.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what is our impact on the plan? If they come make a presentation, are we another voice in the chorus? Where do we fit in the overall flow of this? I'm just trying to get clarity, because the staff's reporting on your data, right? Of what the program's done so far.
Correct. I just want to make clear right now that what we are only discussing is on the agenda and placement on the agenda, that we are not
Yeah,
discussing
yeah.
the issue, because that would be a Brown Act violation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. It's now,
We need, I seconded.
Is that clarity on, okay, yeah, so
Okay.
we are forming, yeah.
I just wanted to be sure, because it ended
okay,
kind of
sure.
abruptly.
I'd like to, it's now 8:48. I'd like to adjourn the meeting and wish
I
everyone
second.
a happy new year.
And please eat.
Bye, Penny.
Bye-bye.